Most people think they're just unlucky in love, or that they haven't found the right person yet. But what if the real reason lies somewhere older, buried beneath memory, hidden in the body's instinct to protect itself? There's a lie many of us learned before we could even speak. A lie that said love must be earned, that our needs were too much, or that closeness would cost us safety. That lie doesn't vanish, it just hides inside our nervous system, shaping every bond that follows. Two truths sit side by side. The love you long for is real, and the fear that keeps you from it is too. Between them lives the story of your childhood, unseen, unspoken, but still alive in how you reach, how you hold back, how you ache. By the end of this talk, you'll see how an unseen past has been shaping your present, and what you can do next. When we talk about why love feels so hard, it's easy to slip into shame. We ask ourselves, what's wrong with me? Why do I keep ending up here again? But the truth is, it's not about what's wrong with us. It's about what happened to us. When we were young, we depended completely on the people around us for safety, love, and guidance. If those people were overwhelmed, distant, or unpredictable, our small nervous systems had to find ways to survive. Some of us learned to stay quiet and invisible. Some learned to please and perform. Some hardened our hearts so we wouldn't get hurt again. Those were intelligent choices for a child. They kept us safe in an unsafe world. Childhood trauma isn't only about what happened. It's also about what didn't. It's not just big, loud moments of harm. It can be the quiet absence of warmth, attention, or understanding. Emotional neglect means our inner world wasn't seen or mirrored. We might have been fed, clothed, even praised, but if our feelings weren't welcomed, we learned to push them down. The body remembers this pushing down as tension, anxiety, or numbness. As adults, those same protective patterns still try to help us. The part that shuts down during conflict is the same one that once shut down to survive chaos. The part that overworks, overgives, or overthinks is still trying to earn safety the only way it knows how. These aren't flaws in character. They're leftover strategies from a time when our only job was to stay safe. When we see this, something shifts. The question changes from, why can't I just stop doing this? AE to, what is this part of me protecting? That shift is where compassion enters. It lets us meet our patterns not with blame, but with curiosity. We all carry versions of this story. We all built brilliant ways to survive pain we couldn't control. The problem is, those same patterns that once saved us can now block the love, rest, and closeness we long for. Seeing that clearly isn't weakness, it's the first step toward freedom. Because once we understand our defenses as old forms of care, we can begin to teach them something new, that the danger is over and it's safe now to come home. Maya always said she liked independent men. It sounded confident, evolved, like she didn't need too much. But if you watch closely, you'd see the quiet ache behind her calm. Every relationship began with intensity. The first week, messages flew back and forth like sparks. He'd tell her he'd never met anyone who listened like she did. She'd stay up late, heart humming, imagining a life where she was finally chosen. Then, slowly, his tone would shift. A day without a text. Then two. She'd tell herself not to be needy, to give him space. She'd reread old messages like a lifeline, trying to find the moment she became too much. When they finally talked, he'd say something vague. Hey, I just need time. Hey, she'd smile, nod, make it easy for him. Inside, she'd collapse a little. After each breakup, she'd promise herself not to fall for that kind again. But months later, it was always someone similar, kind but unavailable, warm but walled off. Her friends called it a pattern. Maya called it bad luck. But on quiet nights, she wondered why silence felt both painful and familiar. What she didn't see was how her body remembered the rhythm of her childhood, the long pauses between moments of attention, the way love came in unpredictable doses. Her mother worked 2 jobs, often exhausted. Her father drifted in and out, promising calls that never came. Maya learned early to expect distance, to measure love by how much she could tolerate its absence. So, as an adult, her nervous system sought out what it knew. people who kept her reaching. The ache of waiting wasn't proof something was wrong. It was proof she was home, at least to the version of home her body remembered. Once, during a date, the man across from her said, "I just don't do emotions." She laughed softly, said, "That's fine. I'm easygoing." But that night, lying in bed, she felt a quiet rebellion inside her, a small voice whispering that maybe she wasn't easygoing. Maybe she was just tired of trying to earn what should be given freely. That whisper was new. It was the beginning of something unnamed, but alive, the part of her that no longer wanted to mistake distance for safety. 3 insights rise from her story. First, when love feels unpredictable early in life, the body learns to brace for loss even while longing for closeness. Second, emotional neglect doesn't just teach us to hide our needs, it teaches us to feel undeserving of having them met. Third, the familiar pull toward distant partners isn't self-sabotage. It's the nervous system chasing what it recognizes, not what it truly wants. And yet, even old patterns can soften. Somewhere inside the ache, a small, steady truth begins to stir. That what feels like safety may no longer be safe, and what once felt dangerous might finally be love. Eli looked like he had it together. Every morning he woke before dawn, made coffee so strong it bit back, and checked emails before the sun even rose. His calendar was a wall of color-coded meetings, his phone always within reach. People admired his focus. They called him disciplined, driven. Inside, though, it felt less like drive and more like escape. When the world quieted, in those small pauses between tasks, something heavy began to stir inside him. So he filled every gap. Podcasts while showering, music while cooking, scrolling through news feeds until his eyes blurred. A drink at night to take the edge off the static in his chest. He told himself it was just stress, the price of being productive. But the truth was simpler and harder. He couldn't stand to be alone with himself. It hadn't always been this way. Growing up, silence meant danger. His father's moods could turn sharp without warning, his mother holding her breath beside him. Eli learned early that safety meant staying busy, staying invisible, staying ahead of trouble. Achievement became armor. If he was perfect, maybe no one would explode. If he stayed in motion, maybe the hurt wouldn't catch up. Now, decades later, the pattern lived on in subtler ways. The phone lighting up on his desk wasn't just distraction. It was distance from a body that still carried fear. The endless projects weren't about ambition. They were about control. Every like, every new deal, every late-night binge offered a momentary breath from an old ache he didn't know how to name. One Friday night, after the noise of the day finally settled, Eli sat in his car outside his apartment, engine off, scrolling aimlessly. His reflection in the dark screen looked tired, not the kind of tired that sleep fixes, but the kind that comes from running from ghosts. In that quiet, a thought rose, not loud but steady. This isn't about willpower, it's about pain. For the first time, he saw his habits not as proof of weakness, but as proof of care. The best care his younger self could find with the tools he had. The question was never, why the addiction, but why the pain? What he was still trying to soothe wasn't brokenness. It was longing for calm, for safety, for the love he had learned to chase through motion. He didn't have an answer yet, only the faint awareness that maybe he could stop fighting himself long enough to listen. Maybe beneath the noise there was something waiting to be felt, something that hurt, but also wanted healing. And in that small stillness, for the first time in years, he let the quiet stay. Think of your body like a house with a smoke alarm. Its job is to protect you, to warn you of danger, but sometimes that alarm becomes overly sensitive. It goes off not only when there's fire, but when someone makes toast. It doesn't mean the alarm is broken. It means it's been taught that safety can vanish fast, so it stays alert, just in case. That's what implicit memory is, the body's smoke alarm. These are memories stored not in words or pictures, but in sensations, impulses, and automatic reactions. You may not remember the moment you learned to brace, to shrink, to smile when afraid, but your body does. It remembers through muscle tension, racing thoughts, the need to check your phone, the urge to shut down or flee when closeness feels too much. Implicit memory isn't the enemy, it's evidence of survival. When you were small and powerless, your nervous system kept you safe by learning patterns, when to freeze, when to please, when to disappear. Those patterns are still running because somewhere deep down, your body believes the danger might return. It's not malfunctioning. It's protecting. Here's one simple example. Imagine you're in a meeting and your boss raises their voice slightly. You feel your stomach drop, your chest tighten, your mind go blank. You tell yourself you're overreacting, but you're not. Your body just recognized the tone that once meant threat. Long before your mind caught up, your nervous system remembered the sound of trouble. That's implicit memory at work. The body remembering what the mind forgot. The beautiful thing is, this awareness changes everything. When you realize your reactions make sense, shame begins to loosen. You stop asking, "What's wrong with me?" and start wondering, "What is my body trying to protect me from right now?" That small shift from judgment to curiosity opens the door to healing, because the same body that learned to guard can learn to rest. The same smoke alarm that once panicked at toast can over time be retrained to recognize safety. It doesn't happen by force, but by gentle repetition, breath by breath, moment by moment. The goal isn't to silence the alarm, but to let it know the fire is out and you are home. The first step toward healing old patterns is awareness. Not to fix, but to understand. Start with a simple awareness journal. For 1 week, gently notice when strong emotions or numbness appear. Write what was happening, who was there, what you felt in your body. You're not analyzing, just witnessing. Over time, you'll start to see patterns, moments when your nervous system says, "This feels familiar." The journal helps turn the unseen into something you can hold in your hands. Next, bring in compassion and inquiry. When you notice a trigger, a sharp tone, a sudden silence, a text that makes your chest tighten, ask 3 gentle questions. What just happened inside me? What am I feeling right now? What might this remind me of, even faintly? Don't rush for answers. The goal is to create a small pause between reaction and understanding. This practice builds self-trust. It reminds your body that curiosity is safer than self-criticism. Add 1 somatic pause each day. When you feel overwhelmed, place a hand on your chest or over your stomach. Breathe slowly, feeling the rise and fall. Then, let your eyes land on something near you, a color, a shape, the light through a window. This is called orienting. Reminding your body that you're here, now, not back there. Just 30 seconds of this can start to calm the alarm system. It teaches the body safety through experience, not thought. This week, practice 1 small boundary. Maybe it's not checking your phone during meals, leaving a group chat that drains you, or saying "I'll think about it" instead of an automatic yes. A boundary isn't a wall, it's a doorway to self-respect. Each one tells your nervous system, "He can choose what feels right for me." And finally, seek 1 safe connection. Reach out to a friend who listens without fixing, join a support group, or speak with a therapist. Healing doesn't happen in isolation, it happens in relationship. Safe connection is how the body relearns that closeness doesn't have to hurt. Each of these steps works because they build safety, not pressure. Safety is the soil where change can grow. If at any point this process feels overwhelming, it's okay and wise to seek help from a licensed mental health professional. Healing is never meant to be done alone. Sometimes the most courageous thing we can do is let someone walk with us a while. When we step back and look at both stories, the one who keeps reaching for distant love, and the one who stays endlessly busy to outrun pain, we see the same heartbeat underneath. The child who learned to survive by dimming their own light. But even cracked roots can find the sun. Healing isn't about ripping the past out by force. It's about letting warmth seep slowly through the breaks, reminding the roots that they still belong to the earth. Each small act, One breath, one boundary, one honest moment of awareness is how the light rises. Change is slow because safety must come first. Tiny wins count. They're proof that the soil is softening, that what once protected you can one day let you bloom. Take a breath and let it land. You've already done something brave just by listening, by staying with yourself a little longer than before. Healing doesn't begin with grand gestures, it begins with noticing.